whether you say it was an act of God or whether it was an act of the universe, my time wasn't up. My time wasn't up, and I strongly believe that. I strongly believe that if I was not meant to be here for a higher purpose, which now I know what that higher purpose is to serve and inspire more people to live and save and change and move forward and grow, then I would not. I would have just kept going off the cliff.
Welcome to Give a Heck. I am your host, Dwight Heck, and for much of my life, lived my life in quiet desperation, wondering how I was going to pay the bills, take vacations, save for retirement, and one day wondering if I would get off the hamster wheel of life and have purpose. A life that most of society lives, which takes us to work, then home, then repeat, and pays us hopefully enough just to survive. The harsh truth that most live with more month than money and have no idea how to live life on purpose, not by accident. This ensures the mass majority are living not just financially broke, however emotionally and mentally as well due to financial pressures. In each episode, I will introduce you to thoughts, ideas, and guests that can help you to learn how you too can live life on purpose, not by accident. Good day, and welcome to Give a Heck. Imagine losing nearly 2 decades to addiction, then almost losing your life. When COVID hit, Peter made a decision. The old life was done. He took a failing drop zone and turned it into sky-high skydiving, double jumps, creating jobs, and proving that risk can be the first step toward recovery. He lit up communities with his firework companies, all sorts in PJM fireworks, designing safe, spectacular shows that have become a highlight of Northern England's bonfire night. Now, as a certified life coach, Peter channels the grit and resilience of his own comeback into practical strategies that help others break destructive habits and go after bold goals. After 18 years of substance abuse and a near fatal heart attack, his message is simple and powerful. Adversity isn't the end. It can be the launch pad for something extraordinary. He's proof you never too far gone to rise higher than ever before, whether in business and life or in those quiet moments when you think the fight is over. It's not. Peter, welcome to the Give a Heck podcast.
Wow, what a beautiful entrance. Woo, yes.
Perfect. You can steal it. You can steal it.
I am going to use it. Definitely. Thank you for the gift. Beautiful.
No problem, brother. So one of the things we talked about before we hit record, and we talked about so many different things. And one of the things I told you I focus on is a person's origin and their early recollections and how really it does affect our lives. And it doesn't mean our origins are tumultuous or bad. It just means that there was things that happened. There's people that were born with a silver spoon, but there were still things within their origin that affected where they are today. They might not have the silver spoon and might be broke and destitute, right? But at the end of the day, there was things that happened within their life that changed them, made them into the person they are. And hopefully, more often than not, your origin drove you to a place where you're going to serve and help others, right? God brought us onto this planet as servants of Him for His children. We're one of the children as well, but then He brings people to us to support us, right? It's just a synergy. So I really would like to know more about your origin story, right? So Peter, paint us a picture. What do you remember most about growing up? The moments, the people, the beliefs that shaped how you see the world today?
That's a great question, by the way. And I think one of the first memories that I had of my childhood now is being in my mother's arms, in the hospital, and then my dad being there. That was the first ever memory that I went back to, and I can go back to. And the moments that if I look back really on my whole childhood until like the ages of, let's just say 12, 13, maybe up to the age of 16, is a very broken family, very broken family. Like my dad left us when we were two. Well, sorry, let me rephrase that. I apologize. My mum left my dad when I was two. I moved in with my auntie, and at the time, her partner, which was I called my uncle. They were kind of like not blood family, but you know them type of friends that have been in your life for since you were born, and you just call them auntie and uncle. And I went through my auntie losing my uncle to a accident from a roof. That he fell off a roof, and then from there it was very much a me and my mum. It was very much a unity of just me and my mum. My dad, I love my dad to bits. You know, I really do. I owe him a lot for what he has taught me over the years, and from not giving me things. You know, you mentioned silver spoon. My dad was an extremely wealthy human being. My dad was very, very, very intelligent when it came to business. You know, my mum was a beautiful soul human being as well. And I mean, they're still with me to this day, which is awesome. And if I was to look at it all, I would say that the person's love I crave the most, and it's funny because I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, is my dad's. And from craving that love, I learned how to be a businessman. I learned how to be durable. I learned how to be resilient. I learned how to be the kind of, I'm going to call this the Rottweiler dog that doesn't stop going until he gets exactly what he wants, like go, 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 you know. And from that, I then developed this gift from all them experiences of my childhood and so on and so on, and my even into my adult life, on being able to find solutions for stuff and just being very solution focused instead of problem driven. And if I look at it from my mum's love, I mean, I got my mum's love permanently. Like, still to this day, I get my mum's love permanently, you know, and I know that now. And I got my mum's heart. I got my mum's beautiful heart to be able to give. And I got my mum's beautiful heart to be able to see the good in people. And from that, then that drove me to a very different place. And I say that now because I understand it. If I was to go back and say what was the 18 years of substance abuse and the whole not understanding who I was in them periods of time, one of the big things I would say is that I didn't have a male influence in my life. So I became in a very feminine energy, if this makes sense, you know, and it became very much about me and my mum. So I didn't get some of the tools that I wish I had had as a child from having an adult figure that was a male figure around me a lot. You know, my mum did an amazing job. Like I said, I implicitly love my mum and dad to bits. You know, they both give me beautiful things that I utilize to this day. And because of that, I then have the opportunity, like you said before, to life coach people and change people and serve people now because of that. I hope that kind of give you a broad origin of me.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of similarities that you and I have. I grew up in a small community of only like 10,000 people at the time. And my father, very, very successful businessman, but very much a workaholic. So
Mm-hmm.
unless I was going to work with him at his business with his staff, I didn't see him a lot because he was. So I very much, my mom was the nurturer as well, right? Still is. They're both alive. They're in their 80s. But
Congratulations.
my thank you, but and same to you. And my mom, yeah, was very much my closest confidant. I had a lot of feminine energy growing up as well, in the sense that I was more sensitive than potentially if you'd have that yin and yang I wrote down here of having a mom and dad. They're consistently there. And I'm not saying those that haven't had it, that your life's broken or you were broken growing
Yep.
up, because I raised my kids as a single dad with 5 kids full time, right? Or had them joint, and then I ended up getting them full time, right? Four of the five
Wow.
kids, the oldest had took off, but I got their other 4 kids and I raised them right into their
Beautiful.
adulthood years. So thank goodness I had some. God does things for us, right? Not to us. And
100%.
when I look at what the nurturing my mom gave me, it helped me raise those 5 kids, 4 of them daughters,
Yeah.
right? So
Wow. Beautiful.
I get you talking about having a, that dad figure. My dad taught me lots. I learned. I didn't realize, like you probably are the same. You hit adulthood and you start getting old and you think, people will say something to you or compliment you, and then if you really think about it, oh, I learned that from my dad.
Yeah.
Or, maybe
100%.
it's a compassionate thing. Oh, I learned that from my mom. Oh,
Yeah.
I
Totally
do
with
this,
you.
I do this now, and it's nothing like my parents, because we need to sometimes grow outside of our parents, right?
100%.
Become our most unique selves. So,
And
I really like that though. You talked about the fact of, moving in with your auntie, which is a friend of the family, and
yeah.
some if the reason I bring that up is family isn't always blood. They can be
Oh,
somebody
definitely
you
not.
choose to be family, and they're stronger than blood.
In fact, I mean, we have a very, our family is very small for me anyway. It was kind of like growing up, my, let's say blood family was my mom, my mum has two sisters and one brother, and my uncle was the person I spent a lot of time with. I spent a lot of time with my other aunties, and then we had an extended kind of family from that, which was not outside of not was not blood. It was kind of chosen family from my mum as well, And then from my dad's side, I just had my dad and my auntie and uncle. Again, my dad was a twin. My dad is a twin. Well, he's a twin. God rest my auntie's soul right now. Unfortunately, she's not with us no more. Um, and again, that was very small. So I came from a very, very small family orientation, realistically, that kind of had. I have aunties that are not aunties, they're all kind of like, they're not blood aunties. And now when you get into adult life, it's mad because someone will say, "Oh, is that your mum's sister?" Like, well, no, it's my mum's best friend that for since the age of like 1 year old, I've called her my auntie. Um, Margaret or my auntie Susan or stuff like that. So yeah, I get it. And now what I love is in my adult life, I get to pick my own family. I get to pick my family, and that's the beautiful thing. And I love that we family is blood, and it's great to be with them, and I love my family. Don't get me wrong. I actually bring my mum and my dad into my chosen family. There's a lot of blood relations that I don't have in my chosen family. And my mum and dad are one of them that they are in my chosen family, you know. And that was my choice. That was my decision. And my chosen family is actually not that big either. It's pretty small.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. At the end of the day, we can bring people into our chosen family that are blood family, but a lot of times we grow apart, right? We're on
Yeah.
different trajectories, and people in my family, I still like. We just had a family reunion this last weekend, and on the one side of the family, my mom's one of 9 kids, my dad's one of 18, so they're big families. And when we have reunions, there's lots of people there. But
Wow.
there was cousins there this weekend, right? I have between the two families, I have more than 100 cousins, right? So
Wow.
at the end of the day, not even 1% of them are really in my chosen family. So I
Yeah.
seen people there that I was glad to see I hadn't seen, and maybe the last time I seen him was a funeral,
Yeah.
or
Okay.
years ago maybe a wedding. And then all of a sudden, oh, how are you doing? And it was nice to see them. But really, when you look at that sort of stuff, it's polite conversation, isn't it? You're not really looking at digging in deep with a cousin or an aunt or an uncle you haven't seen in 10 years. And if you are getting it into it deep, it's either because you have a weakness inside of your heart and you're trying to make them look what I've done, look how great I am, blah blah blah. Or you're, oh, my life sucks, boo hoo hoo, one more person to feed the pity party, right? So at the end of the day, you know, I, I I get the fact of selectively, and when I think about it, and if any of my relatives are listening, I apologize for that. But there's people there that was nice to see, but I might never ever see them again, and they're not. And just based on the short conversation, if they hadn't made it into my chosen family, they're still not. part of my chosen family. They're an acquaintance
Exactly.
that I can call a blood relative that I loved when I was a kid. We played lots together. We have shared a few stories, but it's all polite conversation. And if the
Yeah.
reunion never happened, my life would still proceed forward with my chosen
Correct.
family, right? And with my filter on to find other people to be that are
Yeah.
like-minded and want to be in my tribe and I want to be in theirs. And so it's all good, right? It's okay to have that. One of the things I wanted to ask you was, before we move on from origin, was there any defining early moments, good or hard, that still echo in how you lead and serve others?
Well, I think, okay, that's a great question. I love these. I'm so glad that you've done your research. I love the questions, by the way. Um, there isn't one defining moment that I look back of in my childhood and my origin that made me be the leader I am right now. 100%. I learned how to not be a leader, an amazing leader. I learned how to not be an amazing partner. And I can see your facial expressions of like, oh, okay. And the reason I say I learned how to not be a successful leader and a successful partner and a successful person in some aspects is now I am. So when I look back, I go, oh, that's when I made the mistake. Okay, cool. What have I learned from that mistake now? And over a period of time, I've learned to look back on my childhood and go, wow, there's so many defining moments. There's so many stories that relate to who I am now. And why I say that, Dwight, is this. I said this to someone on Sunday. I was with a friend of mine. I've known this guy for a long time. And I said, I have to say something to you, Andy. And if Andy's listening at some point, well, hi, Andy. I said, I said, there hasn't been a day in the last 2.5 years where I haven't been the most joyful human being possible. Like, there hasn't been a day that I've been grateful to be on this planet. There hasn't been a day that I haven't actually had an amazing day, even when things have not gone the way that I wanted them to go, or I believe that they could have been better, or something came up, an issue, or something like that. There hasn't been a day that I haven't gone to bed and gone, holy moly, like, what a day to be alive. What a day to be living. And I put all that down to the amount of personal development that I've done now. And I look back on all the defining moments. So there was never one single defining moment in my life. There was one moment in time that I decided to make a decision to change, for sure, 100%. And I can tell you exactly when that defining moment was. And you'll probably bring it up, you know. Um, as for an individual section that says that defining moment in my childhood, then to be brutally honest, it all came, and I'll say this, God and the universe give me a lot of lessons along the way so that when I got to the age of 36, I could use all them lessons and all them tools to develop this human being that I am becoming.
That makes sense. At the end of the day, though, having that one defining moment, which we can discuss, no problem, and where it was your launching point, and you said there wasn't any one defining moment. So there's stepping stones. I get that to the next defining moment, but that first moment where you decided you wanted to change, that is a defining moment. It may not, you may have a bunch of other things that changed your life, but there is always a
100%.
switch. There's always a switch moment, right?
And that was, and maybe I listened, maybe I heard the question wrong because I believed that you were asking the question about my childhood.
Yeah, about
Because
your origin, not necessarily
okay,
just your
okay,
origin.
okay,
Could have been
origin.
teenage years,
Okay,
could have been
so
adulthood.
yes, so the one defining moment was when I attempted suicide, and I realized that at that moment, so yes, the complete defining moment that I decided to change and decided that that was the moment that everything was going to change. I didn't want this life that I was leading to continue, was when I was in Portugal. I had drove over to Portugal to save my relationship. I had on the way decided that I was going to quit drugs. I had already quit an alcohol, and I was going to start to rebuild my life and hopefully save a relationship that I was going for. And I was going to save a relationship more than anything else. That's what I was going for. And at the moment when I thought it was going on the right path, the amazing human being decided that she didn't want to be with me no more, which I now understand is cool because it was a huge lesson. And at that moment, my whole world came crashing down. And you know, Dwight, have you ever had a moment in time in your life where you believe that that's it? Like everything just crumbles and everything just kind of defines. And if you know, have you ever had a moment like that?
Of course. I think we all
Yeah,
have. We have character building
yeah,
moments where we go into the valley of despair, and we'll do that numerous times throughout our
yeah.
lives.
And this one was the one where I just didn't want to live no more. And I remember sitting in the car and I'd listened to the book on the drive for the 28-hour drive down to Portugal. I listened to the book The Secret. And I started to do affirmations about dying and saying, okay, it is my time to die. There is nothing worth living for. There is nothing worth living for. And then I decided that I would visualize myself driving off the cliff in the car, because I decided that if I was going to do it, I was going to do it in a good style, and I was going to take the car with me and everything else like that. So as I was sat there, I drove all the way around, and as I got onto the grass to go for the actual cliff, I had a phone call that came through. And you know when you have the red button and the green button where you can make a decision whether you pick up the call or you deny the call? And for some reason, I pressed the green button. And it was just my business partner, Dwight. And all he said was, hello, big man, how you doing? And that was it. That interrupted the pattern. That broke everything down. That saved my life. That one phone call saved my life. And, you know, if there is anybody, and if the listeners out there are thinking about making that phone call and you've got a burning desire in your soul that is saying make that phone call to someone, please make that phone call, because there was no reason for my business partner, Michael, to ring me. He just wanted to see how I was. And at that defining moment, then I realized that I actually was loved, because I didn't believe I was loved. I didn't believe that anyone loved me. I didn't believe that because I just had a relationship that had collapsed. I believed that I had zero self-love. I had zero love for myself, and no one else in the world actually loved me. And that one individual phone call, just that one phone call, that all he did was say, "How you doing, big man?" And all I did was cry for the next 5 minutes. And then he said something so funny. He said something so cool. He said, "Hey, don't worry about it. You own a skydiving center and you're an amazing skydiver. The chicks will just start coming to you. So don't worry about it." And I was like,
He made light of it. Took some of the
yeah,
pressure off,
yeah.
right?
He just without even knowing it. And Dwight, for 13 months, the guy didn't even know that he saved my life. I didn't tell him. I only told him. I only told him when BBC asked me to do a documentary about how I changed my life in 18 months from being a substance abuse addict, and then I had to tell him. So the defining moment of my life was understanding that people do love you, and you are not alone. There is people out there that actually do care for you, and that chosen family that we talked about is so important, because he was part of my chosen family and I was part of his chosen family. And because of that reason, I am still here today. And that was a beautiful gift. The breakup was a beautiful gift from the lady. The phone call was a beautiful gift. And whether you say it was an act of God or whether it was an act of the universe, my time wasn't up. My time wasn't up. And I strongly believe that. I strongly believe that if I was not meant to be here for a higher purpose, which now I know what the higher purpose is to serve and, inspire more people to live and save and change and move forward and grow, then I would not, I would have just kept going off the cliff.
Yeah, like you talk about the universe, or you talk about God and how this stuff comes to us. We can overanalyze it and just realize that we have a place in this world. We have a purpose, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
up to us to, if we, like my mission statement, my subtitle of my book is how to live life on purpose and not by accident. But
Mm-hmm.
we need a tribe. We need a people like you had
Mm-hmm.
where your partner called you. You need things to order to understand. But really, at the end of the day, maybe you had a little prayer. Maybe you said something in your mindset, or like,
Maybe.
why? What do most people do? Why me? Right? Maybe God listened and said, "Oh, why you? Well, okay, business partner. Bing, there's a thought. Call Peter up." Right? We don't know. It could be.
100%.
We could sit here and strategize a million different ways of why it happened. All that matters is that it happened, and now
Exactly. And I,
you've shifted your trajectory, and your life's moving forward.
yeah, and you know, you said it a few times, but life is happening for us, not to us. 100%. Everything that happens in our lives, and the amount of things that I've got story wise, and things that I asked someone asked me the question the other day. He said, "Is there ever a time that you think, wow, I shouldn't be alive?" And I'm like, like so many times I've thought that. So many times I've thought, you know, I shouldn't be alive with the amount of drugs and alcohol that I put into my body over 18 years, with different tablets and substances that were pumped into my body. This thing that we have, which we call a body, for me is the most amazing thing because it goes through so much diversity and so much different pain that it's absolutely insane to realize what we have right now, who we are, and what we have inside of us. And Tony says, no problem is permanent, only your soul is permanent. And I solely believe that. I solely believe that. It's so a true statement that Tony Robbins says. It's an awesome one because our soul is the only permanent thing that we've got.
Oh, absolutely. Well, for those that don't believe in the soul or believe in afterlife or whatever the case may be, that's fine. This is
That's cool.
what Peter and I believe, and Tony,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. But we can go to all this and talk about all these people that help us and have helped us,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got specific phrases or books. But at the end of the day, you are the willing, and that's why
Oh
you got
yes,
where you are. God brought people to
100%.
you, and
Thank you.
it's just like you look at that old story where they talk about the person's going to drown, right? And
Yeah.
literally climbs the top of a building, and still, I sent you a boat, I sent you all this stuff, and you're at the pearly gates complaining to me. What else did you want me to do,
I love
right?
that story. I
Uh, so,
absolutely love that story. It's a
so,
great story.
right? So at the end of the day, though, you have to be willing to listen and move forward. And sometimes we're going to trip and fall and have a baby step, and then maybe a couple steps back, maybe you move forward. Our
Yeah.
tribe is so important for all that to happen. And your tribe can be books. It can
Yep.
be a conference. It can be a Tony Robbins conference. The list goes
Mhm.
on, right? It all depends
Oh yeah.
what we bring into our mindset too, not just the visualization of having a group of like-minded people. Do you actually have a group of like-minded people that communicate and support and help
Yes.
uplift, right? And get you out of that valley of despair. That's what's important for all of us to have. I want to talk
Agreed.
about more about your purpose and your identity. So you've been candid about addiction, the collapse and things, some of it, not totally in detail, which it doesn't need to be. And the long road back to where you are today has been intense, right? Going to Portugal and going through some of the things that you've gone through. What shifted the day you decided your future wasn't going to be the mirror of the past? What was a major shift? I'm not talking about the defining point of where
Okay.
you decided to move forward. What was the shift? What actually happened? Right? Decided that you were
Okay.
gonna,
So
you
what
didn't
actually
weren't gonna
happened was
mirror your former self. You were gonna be this new person, and what you're doing today.
the the statement I used was this, and it was a statement that came to me. I was in Portugal. I never forget it. I was sat at the end of the bed. I just listened to the Beginner's Guide to Stoicism. It was another book that I'd listened to. I'd never listened to any books until this point, and it was books that got me kind of started on the role of personal development, right? And the one statement I said to myself was this: is the next person that gets me is gonna get the best version of me. And then what I really meant by that originally was the next girlfriend that got me was gonna get the best version of me. What I now know is what with that statement is that the statement means the next person, i.e., yourself, Dwight, is gonna get the best version of me right now. This is the best version of me at this moment in 2025. And if we was to speak tomorrow, you would get the better version of me than was yesterday or today. And that statement stays with me. And it's one of my, statements I use a lot to myself on a daily basis. Like, how can I be the best version of myself? And I think that was the one thing that kind of defined me. And I keep using the word defined. That was the one thing that got me to create momentum in this personal development and this real, true kind of who I really want to be and the best version of me. And then that momentum continued and created, and then I've just been learning and learning and learning. And for the last nearly 5 years, all I've done is learn and grow, and then implement. Learn, implement, grow, serve, contribute. Consistently. That's all I've been doing. And one of the things that I was definitely gifted with is to be able to listen, learn, and then implement quick. Don't take forever to do it. Just cool. I like it. Implement it.
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with that. Procrastination happens to people, but at the end of the day, if you have something you want to achieve, the sooner you tackle it and move forward through
Yeah.
the obstacles. Because when we tackle something, there can be obstacles, there can be things that need to be overcome to get to the light at the end of the tunnel where we're trying to achieve, and that's okay. That's part of the journey, right? We can take
Yeah.
all these books, all these conferences like a Tony Robbins. At the end of the day, we still have to decipher how that fits in through our purpose filter. What's our purpose?
Yeah.
And how is that
Of course. Yeah.
information that we're drawing from
100%.
these people going to help me with my purpose? And how can I help others?
Yeah.
People listening or watching, you can have somebody coach you that's still being coached themselves. The difference is the life
I
journey.
have a coach, by the way.
Yeah, so do I. I've had coaches. I've been part of masterminds for years. How often do I
Yeah.
utilize them? Not as much as I used to. I've been doing this for a long time, right? But at the end of the day, it doesn't
Yeah.
mean that I don't have people I can't check in with, that I can't get some,
Exactly.
a different thought process or a variation in my mindset of how I just interpreted something. And they go, well, what's happened to you? Oh, I had this go on, and then you dealt with this. Well, that's you're seeing it through that purpose filter, or through that filter of
Mhm.
your mind's eye, right? So it's nice. You have to have mentorship. You have
Yeah.
to have coaching. Um,
Big time.
I would be willing to believe that people like Tony Robbins have people they talk to too. Like you don't get to his
Oh
place
well, I
without
know
being
that.
somebody that
I know
gets
that for
stuck.
fact. I know
Yeah.
that. I know that Tony still has mentors to this day. With the work that I've done for him, and that was one of the things that I found out in December, where I had an opportunity to speak to someone that was very close to Tony, very very close to Tony, and I said, "Does Tony really do all this stuff that he implements and says?" And she was like, "Yep," and I'm like, "He still has," and she goes, "Yep, Peter, he still has mentors." and he still has people to call upon, and he still has all these people. And I'm like, wow. She goes, he doesn't know everything. He's still learning right now, and that's one of the things that really showed me that prime example, it's beautiful to hear, Dwight, that you've been in it for 20 odd years, you said, doing this, 26 years, 27 years, I
20,
believe, but before
23, this is my 23rd year as of
20,
September 19th
23
that I
years,
started. Yeah.
23 years. And for you to still say you're part of masterminds and you still have mentors, it's beautiful to hear. So, for your guests out there, like if you haven't got mentors in things, or if you haven't got coaches in things, please go get them. Please go get the ones that you believe that are right for you. Go find the ones that are beautiful. Maybe that might be Dwight, maybe that might be me, maybe that might be somebody else. It doesn't really matter. As long as we've got a different lens and a different perspective from different people that have lived life.
Oh, exactly. So I want to ask you about skydiving, right? So you've done it for so long. Right? Skydiving is both precision and it's surrender, right? You got to be precision because you don't want to land on top of a car, for example, or in front of a car. So it's precision, and you're surrendering the fact that your equipment's going to work right. You're surrendering the fact the plane's going to work right. You're surrendering the fact of everything, right? What did the sky teach you about fear, control, and trust?
Oh, great question. Again, I like these questions. What did the sky teach me about fear, control, and trust? It taught me that sometimes you have to let go of what is inside to see that there is a brighter future. And I will tell you a story. When I first started skydiving, I had two amazing instructors, and I'll just paint the picture for you. It was on a really it was in March in the UK. So if anybody's listening from the UK, they kind of know it's cold. It's probably more than likely like Canada in March. It's pretty cold, and we were on the ground, and we had this little plane, this little blue plane, fitted 8 people in it. And what has to happen when you start to skydive is you have 2 instructors, one on your right, one on your left, and you get in the door and out you go. And I was one of them people, and always was, that had massive self-esteem problems. So to get past my self-esteem, I used to put a mask on, which was a significance mask or a certainty mask. And that was kind of like this guy that didn't give a monkeys about anything. I was like, yeah, I don't care. This is not going to bother me. This is skydiving, I'm like, yeah, bring it on. Like, and I use the word cocky, arrogant could be used as another one. Egotistical could be used as another one. I was very much like this kind of guy that, 18 years ago, this was when I started skydiving, nearly 19 years. And I was kind of like this guy. And so, I was on this skydiving center in this airfield, and there's all these little buildings plopped around, and the propellers now churning on the plane. And we got on the plane, and I was still all like, yeah. The plane took off. I was like, cool as cucumbers, like sat back, like, yeah, this is going to be easy. I'd already been to Florida prior to that, doing some wind tunnel stuff, the indoor stuff.
Yeah.
Not out the sky, So I was kind of like, I could already turn, and I could already do all these cool moves. Well, I thought they were cool anyway, Dwight. You know what I mean? I thought they were cool, right? And I was there, and I got in the plane, and the door opened. And holy man, when you've had a moment in your life, Dwight, where everything that you think it's going to be, it's not at all that. It's completely the opposite. Completely the opposite. And I had this massive, overwhelming feeling of fear. Like, holy moly, what am I going to do? And I had these 2 brilliant, amazing instructors. And one of them was from Liverpool. And they have a little bit of an accent. It's a very different accent. And it's quite like direct, right? And his name's Kieran. He's a very good friend of mine. And We get in the door, and what you got to do is you got to say, "Are you ready to skydive?" to the student. So that would be me. So he says, "Are you ready to skydive?" And I went, and he went, "Tough shit. We're going out anyway."
Sometimes you got to be pushed over the edge.
He just got hold of me. I went out. I couldn't breathe at the beginning. I was like, holy moly. So it was kind of this, and I got down, and after I'd done everything, I was like, oh my word. And I was kind of like, whoa, what's going on? My hands were freezing. I was like, I don't like this at all. And then we went on jump number two, and jump number two is the same. She's like, are you ready to skydive? So I then go back into my super significant certainty place of, yeah, let's go. Like, yeah. And then I get in the door and I'm like, and then we leave.
Hyperventilating.
Yeah, we get out again. And on jump number three, I realized that when we got onto jump number three and I started this whole process again, I realized that if I was to stay calm and collective and centered, I would actually get a better skydive. I would be actually better at this. I would be actually more impressed at this. And I would actually remember the things that we do. And the things that I learned from that moment from jump number three, and by the way, just to let you know, Dwight, if I had not paid for this up front, I don't think I would have carried on. It was just that I didn't want to ask for my money back because I know Kieran would have told me to go do one,
Yeah.
and it's taught me to be, after 18 years of competitive skydiving, representing Great Britain 4 times, winning, I think 16 medals in 18 years of skydiving, multiple golds. I was a national champion in 2023. I'd been different national champions for different disciplines over the years. It's taught me that to stay calm, break through your fears, and go through diversity to see what is on the other side, that you can have a fantastic life. And you could say it's a chant, you could say it's a prayer before every single plane journey I get out now, every single one for the last 6 years. I've said, I am amazing, I am powerful, I'm superhuman. I'm amazing, I am powerful, I'm superhuman. Thank you, God. Thank you, angels, for the protection you were just about to provide me on this skydive. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then I clap my hands together and then I'm ready to go jump. And that just kind of settles everything down and it kind of just levels everything out. And it's taught me all of them beautiful gifts, all of them beautiful gifts.
Well, it would be, like great way of explaining it and talking about, the fact that, you talked about the secret. Let's dial it back to there. And you talk about positive affirmations and stuff. And you're doing these positive affirmations, clapping your hands, and you're ready to go. Well, at the end of the day, our body, our mindset doesn't know the difference between the truth and a lie. So we have to pump ourselves up. We have to give us the proper information, our brain the proper information, which triggers our emotional state, our emotional IQ. So you doing that is amazing because it's literally pumping up your emotional IQ. You're feeling strong and you can challenge anything, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
many people don't do that when they go into challenge situations. They don't sit in awareness of their own self, how they're feeling, and going, oh, I feel kind of this. What can I do? What can I say to myself to give it a truth that I want it to have, not the lie it's believing, right?
It's the biggest thing that I've changed. Like it's the biggest thing that I've actually changed. Like, the belief that I am amazing, that's my belief. Like, if no one else wants to believe it, that's cool with me. I really don't, it doesn't really matter to me. Like, every day I wake up, I tell myself how amazing I am, how powerful I am. I'm a superhuman. you know. And when someone's walking down the street and they're like, "How are you?" I'm like, "I'm absolutely amazing, thank you very much." And they're like, "Whoa." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm amazing, thank you," you know. And I have certain different things that I say to myself. I played in a golf tournament today. You know, I play competitive golf as well. And I stood on the first tee, always get a little bit of nerves. You know, I've got a national championships next weekend. Not this weekend, next weekend. And I'm going to say the exact same thing when I get on like round one or round two. I always say it when I feel my body shift into this kind of nervous state. And it's, I command my mind, body, and soul to be in a calm and collective state. I command my mind, body, and soul to be in a calm and collective state. And it just drops everything. Like everything just drops. And Dwight, it's the biggest thing that, like, seriously, if anybody out there is listening to this, and I hope they are, and thank you for listening, like, the words that we say is the life that we lead. It's so true. It is so, so true. You know, just by saying them little, you can call them positive affirmations, you can call them incantations, you can call them prayers, you can call them chants, you can call them whatever you want. You know, it's just,
Well,
for me,
that self-talk that we have, though, sorry for cutting you off, but the self-talk that we have,
oh, it's okay.
the biggest problem that people have with the self-talk that they're doing, it's based on learned behaviors. So dial it back to what
Yes.
we talked about, you know, going to conferences, reading books, and all that stuff. People listening, watching, your brain needs all that information again, and then you have to decimate it in the sense you got to just dissect it and go, what serves me in my thought process? Am I telling myself I'm going to succeed, or am I telling myself, oh, I hope that works, Peter? I'm not sure. You know, and then I go into it and I wonder why it failed, right? I
Yeah.
got to go into it with that energy like you're talking about and move forward in and what I'm going to do and just go and do it.
Yeah.
And don't tell myself, oh, I failed. Oh, I just got another life lesson. So it's the words, it's the wordsmithing we utilize on ourselves. And then the rest of the people around me that don't care, they're not meant to be in my tribe. If they're not patting me on the back, I'm going to do it. I'm going to pat myself on
Yeah.
the back until such time that people see the brilliance that I am. Right? You got to
And
tell
you are,
myself,
by
I'm
the way,
brilliant. I'm
you are
brilliant.
brilliant.
Yeah, I'm brilliant. You know, they're going to see the brilliance that I am. Until then, I'm just going to keep on pushing forward, and I'm going to
Yeah.
deflect the negativity and attract the greatness. And if I have that bad moment, I need to be aware of it so I can move forward. Right? So awareness, like you talked about, you wake up in the morning, you're praising, you know, God, you're praising, I'm going to have the most beautiful day. I go to bed at night, I do gratefulness. I pray
Mhm.
and I say, well, I look at my day and go, like you talked about this quite a bit earlier in the podcast. I don't ever have bad days either. I'm
Yeah.
7 years doing it.
Congratulations.
7 years doing it. I have character. I
Congratulations.
have character defining moments in my day, but I don't let it
100%.
define my day. Right?
Yes, 100%.
All
And
right.
I agree with you entirely. And something just come to me then, you know, that I want to. Is it okay if I share this story with you about a moment in time that
Go ahead.
I I understood the reason why I say thank you God, thank you angels, or I just say thank you. And it was 2 years ago. I had an experience where I now know it was a severe panic attack. And it was, yeah, it was just over 2.5 years ago. Uh, and I thought I was having a heart attack, and I was reliving my heart attack from when I was 21 from a cocaine overdose. So I had this attack that I thought was a heart attack. So I've called the ambulance thinking it was an heart attack. I called somebody where I was to come round to just in case I was going, right, to stay there. And as he came, I was going into this very white sector, like very white sector of everything was going white completely. And then luckily for me, the guy didn't know how to do CPR properly. So he was just pumping on my chest, which was bringing me kind of energy back to kind of stay out of this kind of thing I was going through, which now I know was a severe, severe panic attack. Right. And I, all the way through that, was saying the words, please God, please universe, please give me more power. It's not my time to die. Please give me another time. Please give me another time. Please God, please universe. And consistently, and until that day, I really had never said the word God, right? I had really never said the word God. I always used to say to everybody, the universe, right? And for some reason, on that day when I was going through this experience, right, I kept saying the word God. And then the guy that was with me, he had to go and get the ambulance. So at that point, everything, I remember screaming his name. I think I screamed the wrong name. I think I screamed Dave and his name was John or something like that, right? And I screamed his name. And as I screamed his name, everything went woof, white. And then I came out of my body and I had an out of body experience. I was stood in the middle of the room, right? Everything in the room was completely white. And as far as I was concerned, I was dead. And at that moment, then I went and asked God to bring me back. I stood there in the middle of the room and said, wow, this is super cool. This is amazing. And then I said, no, there's more to life than this. There's more to life. And then I sat back down into my body, lay in my body and said, hey, God, it's not my time to die right now. Please bring me back. I know you can do this. Please bring me back. And then as I was saying all these things, I was saying to him, I don't want my beautiful girlfriend at the time, Ash, she doesn't want to see me die right now. This is too new. I haven't had kids yet. My mum shouldn't see me die before. Please, God, please, God. And all the way through it, I was consistently asking for these things that I had not fulfilled in my life. And I was saying, I will, I have an higher purpose. I have everything else, please just give me this one more chance. And then as I was laying my body, I could feel the blood start coming back from my toes all the way up my body, all the way up into my heart. And I started to feel my heartbeat again. And then I came all the way up to the top. And as I came up to the top, I came through the couch and up the couch and went, and the reason I say I believe it was a severe panic attack is because I have got no logical way of explaining what I went through. And then the paramedics came and they run a load of tests on me and found that there was nothing wrong and everything else. And the reason I say this story is I made a decision at that point where if I was going to ask God for some reason, that word God, for help when I was dying, or believed I was dying, or I believed I had no more time on this planet, then every single day that I woke up from that day forward, I was going to say thank you. I was going to say thank you for giving me a moment to be on this planet. Thank you, God. Thank you, angels. Thank you, universe. Thank you, whatever. And every day, all the way through it, Dwight, this is the truth, right? Gospel truth, right? Every day I wake up, I say thank you for being here. Every night, I say thank you for being here. Every moment when I'm on a golf course and I'm hitting not the best golf shots, I say thank you for letting me have that awful golf shot, right? And then if the skydive doesn't go well and I've survived and I'm still here and I haven't broken anything and I've flown a parachute to the ground, I say thank you. And you don't have to say God with this. You don't have to say universe. You don't have to say angels. You don't have to say anything. What I would suggest is this to the people out there listening is just start saying thank you to yourself. Just start saying thank you for the little things. Just start saying thank you for just being here. Because one day we're not going to be here. And I can promise you from being through some of the experiences that I've been through that when they do come up, they are damn scary. And I tell you now, there's something else inside of us that says it's not our time to go. And you fight for that.
Well,
so why not just say thank you for it?
exactly. And at the end of the day, so many people don't have the awareness to be grateful that they were given another shot, another day, right? And you don't have
Yes.
to be God fearing, you don't have to be believe in God, even nature, universe, whatever. You should wake up and you should say thank you. I open
Yeah.
my eyes, I
Exactly.
have another shot, I have another opportunity. For me, I'm thanking God, thanking Jesus, and
Yeah.
welcome him to my day. Welcome, you know,
Yeah.
welcome into my family and friends in my day. I appreciate you at night. Thank you for allowing me to have this great podcast conversation with Peter today. It really enlightened me,
Yeah.
right? Or, Saturday night, thank you for allowing me to have great interactions with relatives and see people I maybe never ever see again. But thank you for having me to have that opportunity. Some people right now, in no matter where you are, UK, Europe, Canada, US, anywhere in the world, are sitting in their homes shut off from the world, and they don't have that at night to go, thank you for having family, and allow me to have some family. Thank you for allowing me to have a good work day. Thank you for allowing me to have food on the table. Thank you for allowing me to brush my teeth. Like, I say stuff like, you know what, thank you, I'm
Yeah.
getting out of bed. Thank you, I get to walk into a bathroom, have water, have a shower, brush my teeth. There's so many
Yeah.
billions of people that don't have that. Thank you, God. Right. So if you're a
Exactly.
person that
Beautiful.
doesn't understand how to do it, start having gratefulness for your day. Even the
Yeah.
worst
Big
day
time.
possible, have it, you can always have a good day. I woke up, I had a
Yeah.
day. Yes, character building moments sucked, but I made it through it. Thank you for allowing me to have a bed to sleep in, roof over my head. Please allow me to have a great night's sleep. If I don't wake
Mhm.
up, take my soul. If I do wake up, help me be a better version of myself so I can serve others. It doesn't take
Yeah.
much. 20
And you
seconds,
know the
a
best thing
minute.
about it? You know the best thing about it, Dwight, is this. Do you actually, you know what? Do you know the best thing about it? Do you know the best thing about being grateful and gratitude? And you know one of the best things about it? I mean,
Oh,
except for it makes you feel great and it makes you feel amazing. I mean, that's
well,
that's for me and you. That's obvious. But there's something else that I talk about, and I want to ask the question to you: is what do you think the best thing about it is?
it changes my state. It's not just about the energy that air part of me, makes me feel good. It actually brings to the fact that the words I say now throughout my day, or even if it's during the day and I'm grateful for something, my energy projects out of my body
Mhm.
language, my tonality, everything by being grateful and having gratefulness and gratitude for my life
Yeah,
comes out in how I present myself through the rest of that day. If I'm going to
yeah,
bed, it helps present me into the relaxation of
mhm.
rejuvenating my body to thank you, I'm grateful for all this
Yeah,
stuff. And God goes, you know what, Dwight's not going to be in that white room at this point
yeah,
in his life. He's just doing it in a sleeping state, and he's thanked me. He's asked me if
yeah.
it's okay. Could I wake up? Could I help somebody tomorrow again? If not, take me up to heaven. I'm ready to go whenever you want me to, Lord. Like, just simple. People are
Yeah,
confused by how complicated or uncomplicated gratefulness can be. So
very,
for me,
very
being
uncomplicated.
grateful brings to me solace,
Hmm.
peace,
Yeah,
and it helps me have that same solace and peace when I'm presenting and talking. It helps me be a better empath to others. It does so much for me. It's like the list goes on. To not have it, it would just be living on the hamster wheel of life, like most of the
yeah.
population in the world.
And for me, I 100% agree with you. All of that. And for your listeners, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say the for me the best thing about gratefulness is exactly what Dwight just said. Shifts my energy, gives better energy, and it's free of charge. We do not have to pay for this. It is free. We can do this without paying anybody. You know, it's free. There's no
It's true.
transaction of money. It's just free of charge. It's completely free. And you can come off the hamster wheel of life. And I love that statement if you want, because this is, you don't have to pay for this to wake up and say thank you. You don't have to wake up. You don't have to pay for anything. There's no transaction or financial transaction at all for you to be grateful at all. And
Agreed.
that for me is phenomenal, because people will pay loads of money to have mobile phones and all these gadgets and all this other stuff, all these drones or whatever, to give them happiness. And we have something that is free of charge, and all we got to say is thank you, I'm grateful, and that's it. And then whatever you want to say after them words, you can just, I mean, I've been running down the street, Dwight, and just been saying thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean, if you say that, actually, let's do this for everybody listening, and do it with me, Dwight, as well. I just want you to keep saying thank you and see how long it takes you before you actually start smiling.
Thank you.
Are we ready? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Doesn't
Thank
take
you.
much.
It's like 4 or 5. It's like on average, I think I read a study that it's like, and this is where I got it from, 7 times in, when you get to 7 or 8, you will start smiling. Even if you are in a not so great mood, you will instantly change your physiology.
So we're getting close to the end of the show, but I have a few more things I wanted to go through.
Okay.
One of the things I wanted to talk about was mindset and confidence, right? This is about the thing that most people lack, right? Is confidence.
Okay.
Another reason why they don't do gratefulness, right? They don't have the confidence to believe that it's going to help or make a difference, right? So when people feel behind, shame steals their voice, right? When they feel behind. How do you rebuild confidence without pretending that the pain that they're experiencing didn't happen, pardon me? What do you do?
What do I do for my own pain?
For people that you're dealing with, when people feel behind again and people steal their voice, you've experienced that yourself, where you feel like you don't have a voice.
So,
that's what we're talking about, that self-talk being free. How do you rebuild confidence without pretending? So how do you do it with yourself? Potentially is how you're going to train others. So either way, you can either talk about yourself or talk about what you help other people.
I could talk about both. So for me, it's acknowledging that you have been through an experience, and talking about that, and then dealing with that situation that you have been through. And I don't like to use the word trauma. Some people it may be trauma, some people it may be other things. And when we acknowledge certain aspects, we can then rebuild. For me, anyway, we can rebuild, and this is what I teach people when I coach them: is we can acknowledge what it is, and then we can rebuild the confidence in that situation about how we would deal with it in a different way, looking at it from a different perspective. And we have used the word God a lot in this podcast, which is cool. I look at it from God's perspective. I look at it from the third party's perspective and the God's perspective. And then to build on the confidence, it's just to believe in yourself. It's just to believe that you're good enough. We all have limiting beliefs. Even to this day, you have still got, after 23 years of doing this, you've still got limiting beliefs. I've still got limiting beliefs. We've all still got limiting beliefs. And it's just acknowledging them for me and saying, cool, that's how am I going to get over it? How am I going to build on it? And I think the biggest thing is to acknowledge that you've lost your confidence, and then look at how you're going to rebuild your confidence.
Yeah, it's important though. It ties into, we talked about self-awareness, and sometimes one of the things we didn't talk about is the negativity of what can happen when you practice self-awareness and being realized where we are in our lives. We can turn it into a negative thing, turn it into a self-attack on ourselves. What would you say to people that happens when they first start doing it, or if they've been practicing it and they're saying to themselves, it doesn't work for me, all I do is beat myself up and I think more negative? What would you suggest?
Stop saying it doesn't work for you and just keep doing it.
Perfect. It goes back to that self-affirmation, a positive self-affirmation, a positive self-talk.
It's the same as I said to a friend of mine recently. He kept saying, and I'll say this, he said, Peter, I've been so depressed. I've been so depressed. And within a 15-minute window, he used the word depressed. So I said to him, hey, I have a challenge for you. You love challenges. And he goes, yeah. I said, I have a challenge that for the next 6 months, you don't use the word depressed. You don't ever use it. ever again for the next 6 months. Just don't use it. Just eradicate it from your vocabulary. Just take it away. Take it away. Take it away. Take it away. I said, don't use it for 6 months. And he went, okay, what's that going to do? I said, well, first of all, if you can't say the word, then you can't be the feeling. And he looked at me like, oh, yeah, that's a good point. I said, so you can't say it from now on. I spoke to him last week. He's done 1 week of it. I said, how do you feel with our challenge? He goes, Peter, I can't believe the energy I've got. He said, when people say, how do you feel? He goes, I feel a lot better. I said, and when you talk about the past, you don't need to say that word. Just say in the past, I didn't feel great. I had some moments in life, whatever, just don't say the word. So if people are saying, oh, I can't do it, it doesn't work for me, the first thing I would say is stop saying them words.
That is 100%. And then most people, when you tell them, you got to program your mind. I remember at one point in time, I used to utilize a specific word, right? And I realized as my kids were really young, I was using this word over and over again. And the word was hate, right? Hate isn't hate is not a conducive word in any conversation that's helpful. Right. So I'd say to the kid, instead of saying you hate something, you hate someone, how about you start thinking, I just like this experience. I just like what that person does. Or even stating about somebody. Don't say you hate them. I just like that person's the way they make me feel. I just, just changing something with a little word, but it's a habitual thing. Right. So it's hard for me to even say the word hate.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I've programmed my brain so long since my kids were younger that, you know what I mean? But that's what you're talking about. Don't use that. Talk about being depressed or depression. Like you're programming yourself to have a different mind state. It's like you have a computer and you get an upgrade. You're upgrading your computer to perform better. We're trying to upgrade your brain and your emotional 100%. IQ to perform better.
Yeah, and I always use, people say, and you'll have more than likely heard this from different people, right, Dwight? And you 100% will have heard this yourself. You're like, oh my God, I love the new you. I love the new you. And I'm like, I am not new. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm just upgraded. I am the same person I always have been, but I have just upgraded myself. That's it. Like, I am not new. Like, I did not come back out my mom as a new version. Like, I've grown and, all I've done is upgraded myself. And when I speak, and this is for your listeners as well, is when I speak, I always think this. Is this statement going to be an empowering or disempowering statement? Or is this going to be an empowering word or a disempowering word? And since saying that to myself, I don't use disempowering words. I really think about what I said or saying. And from doing that, the intelligence that I believe that I have grown just from changing the way I speak my language to make it empowering it's incredible. It's actually incredible.
Well, you're feeding yourself, like we talked about updates and upgrades and stuff, conferences, books, masterminds, coaching, podcasts. It's all upgrades. It's all input. It's all input that we're putting into ourselves because we'll do it to our computers to protect the computer from getting hacked or getting, crashing, but we don't do it to ourselves. And our brain is a giant computer. You must feed it. To have a healthy, purposeful life and a legacy requires effort. One of the things that you talked about, like, so people sharpen themselves, they have healthy collaborations and things change in their lives. I want to touch a little bit about what's happening with you. You're looking at potentially, if things work out, moving to the US. And you found this opportunity and God's spoken to you that this is something
Yep.
that you need to do. Can you share a little bit about what you're looking at doing and where you see this taking yourself along the journey of your life?
Yeah, I can share a lot about it if you want, or I can share a little.
Share what you feel. Share about 5 minutes. How's that?
So what we are gonna be doing, me and my amazing, beautiful wife, um, we are going to be going out to the US to work with a company called Healthy Once and For All. And the owners of that company are called Jeff Lobeck and Stephanie Lobeck. And in September of 2024, Jeff is one of my mentors, and I said to Jeff in passing, "Hey, I'd love to move to the US." And I own numerous amounts of companies, as you well know, doing different things. And he came to me in September and said, "Hey, Peter, do you want to maybe do a collaboration and move out to the US and take my Healthy Once and For All program and my Healthy Once and For All business to the next level? Because you've been through the program 3 times already, and the results that you have got are outstanding." And I said, "Well, I've always wanted to go there." So what happened from there is we then started applying for visas, which we've now done, and we're now waiting on the beautiful US government. We'll not go down that route. Well, do I? Right? To give me a visa based on my especially sports interest in skydiving and the psychology behind skydiving, the mental attributes of skydiving, to be able to go out and teach people how to change their lifestyle to live a life longevity by using certain, let's call them biohacks, natural hacks. And this program that Jeff has designed, or this business that Jeff has got with Stephanie, his beautiful wife, really revolutionized the way I deal with my health, because the psychology, the mindset of what I have got now, a lot of it has come from Tony, right? Which is great, and the body side of it, the health side of it, has all come from Healthy Once and For All. So what we're going to be doing, my amazing, beautiful wife's going to be coming with me, of course, and she is a breath coach. She is a sound bath, sound bath therapist. That's the word I'm looking for. She is a cold water therapist as well. Then she's a beauty therapist. Then she's a masseuse. She's got a lot of different strings to her balls, and the big angle and the big dream it's not a dream, it's the goal, because life without goals is just a dream, right? Is in the end, within the next 10 years, we will own a massive retreat in the US where we will have everything coming out of one, and then we will be teaching it to many. And right now, we're going to be starting off by doing the good old school, going and doing small 90-minute seminars, and we're going to do them online. One in September and then one in November, just to get the ball rolling. And then we're going to go out and we're going to go back to old school ways of doing it, and we're going to go live. So the whole objective is to focus on Arizona first, because there is 4.5 million people in Arizona, and nobody is doing what we're doing. No one is doing what we're doing. No one has a program that has been wrote like us. No, people have got very good programs. I'm not suggesting that. But the research that we do and the implementation of what we do and the community that we build and what we bring to everything is accountability, momentum, and mindset. And then teach them the understanding of food and the definition of the relationship that people have with food and drink and everything else that we put into our beautiful bodies that we have been given as a gift. This avatar that we have right now, your beautiful avatar that you have, is we only have one. So let's look after it. And that's what we're going to be teaching.
That reminds me of books that I read back in the 90s, because again, I'm a little bit older than you. Fit for life.
Only just a
What?
tangent.
Pardon?
Only a tangent, by the way.
Yeah, just a tad. Yeah, just a tad.
And it's how
Uh,
young you are, not how old you are.
yeah, it's how. Yeah, I'm seasoned. I'm not old.
Yes,
I'm just
beautiful.
like a fine steak. I forget what I was gonna say,
Sorry,
but
I just got to say this one thing, Dwight. A friend of
yeah,
mine says to me, "Hey, it's not your age, it's your level. You're at level 58. I'm at level 41."
yeah. So I'm gonna up level and finish the game quicker. Is that what it is?
No,
Uh,
means that you've got more levels on it. That's it.
yeah, that's it. I just got more scars, more wrinkles. Um, but anyway, we're gonna move on. I can't remember what my point was. Not a big deal. Um, but at the end of the day, we look at the fact of what we need to input into our lives and what we need to do to upgrade ourselves, and are we willing to go and act on faith? You're having
Mhm.
faith. You applied for, you know, you've applied to go to the US to get your visas, and you got all this grandiose things, your goals. They're not dreams, they're goals that you want to achieve.
Yep.
Eh, but you literally, the difference between you and other people is you've been tenacious, even through your most difficult times, and listening to your story of going through what you've gone through, driving to Portugal, to starting skydiving. We never really got into your fireworks business, but that can be for another time, another conversation. You have something that very few people have. You have a superpower that I call tenacity. Because if you
Thank you.
weren't tenacious, you wouldn't even have talked yourself out of the fact of driving off that cliff with a car, right?
Yeah,
You wouldn't
that's
have.
true.
You still had a part of you that was tenacious enough that your business partner, your phone call, just the you were hanging on. Maybe like some people say by a thread, but you were hanging on, and you were starting to not let that little bee voice that I call it
Mhm.
take over your life. You let
Yeah,
tenacity say, I'm going to continue to grow. I'm going to meet great people. My time's not up, right? I need to
yeah,
continue to grow. And which is so important for people to understand. Take that baby step. Doesn't exist. All it is a stepping stone for your next choice of what you're going to
yeah.
make. Oh, I really messed up Tuesday. Wednesday is going to be better. Why? Because I know self awareness. I'm going to talk about it with myself
Exactly.
tonight, and I'm going to resolve it and wake up with the right attitude and program myself. So, Peter, this is the last question I'm going to ask you to wrap up the show. If you had to leave our listeners with one last piece of encouragement, something you lived, not just learned, that proves it's worth giving a heck and never giving up, what would you say?
I would say everything starts from a belief, and believing in yourself is the key thing that we have to keep doing. And you mentioned the word tenacity, and the tenacity is literally just in my hallucination and my belief is that it is just faith, belief, and just understanding that if we keep going at what we really want and we keep doing the compounding and we keep just going at it and going at it and going at it and doing the tedious things that we think may not be working, they actually are working. They actually are working, and just keep going at what you want. And in the end, you will get given the gift. And then once that gift goes, it's like a river flowing. It just flows and it keeps flowing as if you, and then you get on your surfboard and you flow the river and you keep riding the river. And then all of a sudden the river opens up into the sea. And then, man, you're riding some big ass waves and life really becomes exciting. Really becomes exciting.
Yeah, it's true. And you talked about, we talk about, repetition, and we talked about habits. And at the end of the day, people have to continue to do the uncomfortable over and over again till it becomes comfortable and creates that habit for success, so that you have habits create a critical mindset. At least I
Yes,
believe they
exactly.
do, right? They create a critical mindset, and all the things that you've gone through now get filtered through that, right? Through the
Yeah.
lens of Peter. And we just don't give up on yourself. Just keep on keeping on and realizing that giving a heck means every day till the day you take your last breath, you should want to experience something new. You should, when people say, well, how can I experience something new? I work out of my house. Like I work out of my house. If I'm not off seeing a client or going on a trip somewhere, I'm in my house. How can you experience something new every day? Well, I specifically, yeah, do a different flow, do something different. Yeah. Maybe you walk around your home this way. Instead, you walk around this way, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you shave, like a male shaves one side of their face. Try doing the uncomfortable, shave the other side, right?
Try using your left hand. It's a nightmare when you get stuck.
Yeah, exactly. So I really appreciate you being on. What's the best way for people to reach you before I wrap up the show?
Right now, they can reach me on Instagram, Peter John Mather 1984, or they can reach me on Facebook, which Peter John Mather. That's it. Right now we've got a website being built. You can also, if you want to try and reach out to Healthy Once and For All, then it's just healthyoneceandforall.com. And yeah, that's it realistically. Dwight, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been a gift for you to be letting me onto your show. It really has. And I really thank all the listeners for spending the time to listen to me and Dwight just kind of give a heck. I mean, seriously, give a heck about everything. I love it. It's awesome. And you're doing an awesome job here, and you're showing that, people can really make the difference by just giving a heck.
Oh, absolutely appreciate that. For those new to the show that are watching or listening, go to giveaheck.com, go to the top, hit podcast. You'll see a picture of Peter, as well as the detailed show notes and any links to social media or websites that have been mentioned. And you'll also have chapter summaries, as well as a full unedited podcast transcript at giveaheck.com. So I appreciate you again, Peter, being on. Before we close, listeners, hear me on this. It's not too late to be proud of the chapter that you're writing right now. Not after the relapse, the debt, the silence, the grief. Giving a heck isn't about getting it perfect. It's about refusing to disappear. Choose one honest action. Make one call. Take one breath you actually feel. Purpose shows up when you do. Your courage to continue is the wind. So give a heck and give it loudly. This has been Peter Maurer showing us what service looks like when it's born from scars, not scripts. If this conversation grabs something inside of you, if you're ever felt being behind, ashamed, or alone, let's this land. You are not broken. You are becoming. Momentum isn't found in perfection. It's found in movement. Share this with someone who needs a lifeline today. Progress starts with an honest step forward. It's time to give a heck about your life on purpose. Your story matters. Your voice matters. And your next step is enough to begin. Until next time, remember, in life, it's never too late to give a heck. Thank you for taking time out of your day and listening to Give a Heck. If you find value, I'd appreciate you sharing with your friends and family so they too can learn how to live life on purpose, not by accident. So you do not miss the next episode, please subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, and please also post a review. I look forward to reading your comments. This has been Dwight Heck. If you want to check out other podcast episodes or today's show notes, please check out my website, giveaheck.com. And until next time, together let us all strive to give a heck.